What is up, everybody? Icy Mike here, and today is Friday, and that means it is time for another Civilization 6 video. In this week's video, I'm going to be directly comparing both Civilization 6 to Civilization 5. I'm going to be looking at things like graphics and major gameplay changes, and a couple of other things so you guys can be completely aware of what you can expect to change from switching from Civilization 5 to Civilization 6. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, let's talk about the elephant in the room. And that elephant is the graphic changes. Here is a screenshot of both graphics from each game. On the left we have Civilization 5 screenshot, and on the right I have a Civilization 6 screenshot. And if you haven't noticed, it's a night and day difference. And there's actually been a lot of commentary and a lot of people upset about the big change from a realistic art style to a more cartoonish art style in Civilization 6. And a lot of people are wondering why. Well, here is an article from IGN where they talked with the developer and why they initiated this change of art style. And to kind of summarize, basically what they say is this, that in Civilization 5, a lot of people would like to zoom out and play from a tactical point of view, and they lost a lot of detail in the game because of this. With the new art style, you can zoom all the way out and still have those same details and be able to see those details even if you're zoomed all the way out playing from a tactical view. But if you zoom all the way in, you still get the unique units and the very, very minor details that they weren't able to do with the realistic art style. So that's kind of where they were going with this. I think they wanted to be able to have a detailed game from all perspectives, from zoomed out to zoomed in and even in the middle. And that's why they made the change. Plus, it's probably a lot easier on your machine with this new art style because it doesn't require as much processing power. But nonetheless, the changes here. Let me know what you guys think of this new style, because me personally, my opinion on is that graphics in a game such as Civilization and other turn-based games aren't, they're a big deal, but they're not a make or break for me. You can really get past graphics if the gameplay is good. A perfect example of this is Minecraft. Minecraft isn't known for its graphics, but it's known for its gameplay. And as long as Civilization lives up to the changes it's making and improves gameplay and is still the game that we've all come to love with Civilization 5, then getting around the graphics and the new art style will be a piece of cake. But that's my personal take on it. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. But let's go ahead and move to part 2. Okay, now that we talked about the very first thing you're going to notice between Civilization 5 and Civilization 6, which is graphics, let's go ahead and talk about when you actually play the game, what you're going to notice. And the thing that I think is really the biggest difference that we're going to see in terms of gameplay is the way cities are basically built and operated. In Civilization 5, it was pretty simple. You put down a city and everything you built within that city was just in that city and its borders. But in Civilization 6, you have what's called unstacked cities. So basically you put down a city center and you can build a few buildings on the tiles around that city center. But as your city grows, you're going to have the ability to create what is now called districts. And these districts are placed on tiles around that city center, but they are containers for up to 3 new buildings. As your city grows, it gains access to more districts, and they're going to be placed on those individual tiles. So that means you need to have a population of 3 to build your first district. And then it's going to be, I think, around 3 more to build additional districts. And these districts are going to be, different. You're going to have like a harbor district or a military type district. And all of these are going to open up buildings that you can, build to increase those specific things. So for like a harbor is going to help you build ships. And so this is really different because that means there's going to be a greater effect to pillaging. Before you had all your buildings in the center and pillaging only really affected your gold, science, and food. But now if you pillage, you can actually mess up someone's production of ships. So this brings a whole new avenue of gameplay for us. And I'm just really excited about this. I think this is really smart because a city is an expanded thing. It's not a very localized thing, and it doesn't make sense for it to just exist all in one tile. So I think it's a pretty cool change that we're going to see, and it's really going to make gameplay much more dynamic and every playthrough different, and the decisions you make when it comes to placing your districts and what buildings to build, those changes and those decisions are going to be detrimental to your game. But let me know what you guys think of this as well. I really like this change, honestly. I think it's going to work very well with the game. This next change that I'm going to talk about is a really big change. In Civilization 5, happiness was on a global scale. If you were unhappy as a whole, then your entire empire, I guess, received those effects or those ill effects. In Civilization 6, it is now based on your city. So if your city is unhappy, obviously that city will receive negative effects, but it's not going to affect your entire empire. I mean, I guess in general it will, but it's not going to be on a grander scale. So like if you have one city, obviously that one city being unhappy is going to affect your entire empire because that is your entire empire. But if you have 20 cities and that city being unhappy is only going to make a difference of 1 out of 20. So that is awesome to see because no empire relies just on one city, and one city being unhappy shouldn't ruin an entire empire. And I really like this change. Again, it's going to really change the gameplay up because, although cities are going to be more spread out with districts and stuff, their happiness, if they are an unhappy city, it doesn't affect you as much. So when you go to war with someone and make them unhappy, you can't really make them unhappy based on taking on one city. But if you take over multiple cities, you probably could. But yeah, so it's super interesting to see this change. I mean, I'm really happy with all these changes the devs are making. The only one that's kind of up in the air is the graphics, but I can get past that. But so far, all these changes have really changed the gameplay up for us. It's not like another, sequel to a game where there's not really any changes. We're getting major differences between Civilization 5 and Civilization 6, where we're actually going to be experiencing a new game. And I'm really excited about that. And I think that's why the hype of this game is continuing to build, because as we get more information, we can really see we can expect a different game from what we've been playing in the past. Let me know if you guys agree with that. Some of you may not see these changes as major revelations, so to speak, and you may not want to get Civilization 6 because you think it's the same game. I feel differently, however, but I would like to see what you guys think. The next big change that we are going to see from Civilization 5 to Civilization 6 is kind of a minor one, but the effects of it are major. So let me explain. In Civilization 5, we had leaders and civilizations. Each civilization only had one leader, and their leader just had a kind of typical way of playing, but everything that was unique to the civilization. Well, that's where things get a little bit different in Civilization 6. In Civilization, each civilization is going to have 5 unique elements, a fixed agenda, similar to Civilization 5. They're going to have a special ability, a unique unit, and then a leader bonus, which can be an ability or even another unique unit, and a unique infrastructure item, like a building or improvement or now districts, which we just talked about. But the interesting part about this is that it is now confirmed based on an excerpt we read from a screenshot of the Civlopedia. And this excerpt basically says that some civilizations have only one choice for a leader, while others have multiple leaders from which to choose. Like civilizations, each leader has a unique trait. These traits are different from civilization traits and are specific to each leader, even leaders from within the same civilization. Each leader also has an agenda based on their historical persona, as well as a hidden random agenda. So not only are we going to see the Civilization 5 unique civilizations where we get different, each civilization is going to have a different play style, but now leaders come into play and they can totally change the gameplay. And I talk about this in my other video regarding the list of civilizations, where if we see someone like, if we do have Pericles or Gorgo, both as possible leaders for Greece, we can see Pericles as like the science type person, where, you would use Greece as a science victory or culture victory. But then if you play with Gorgo, they're going to give you bonuses towards a military type conquest, which means Greece is going to be very dynamic as a civilization. And I really like this because Civilization covers a broad era of time where Civilization saw multiple leaders. And this is something that I really like to see in Civilization 6. And although it is not 100% seen in gameplay, based on things that we have seen in the past and this excerpt from the Civilopedia, I mean, it's a pretty freaking strong guess that we're seeing multiple leaders in Civilization 6, which I think is going to be welcomed by everybody who loves the game. But yeah, so that's going to be the next biggest change you're going to see in Civilization 6, and I'm pretty excited about it, but let me know what you think about it as well. Another key change that we're seeing in Civilization 6, or key changes that I want to kind of go over, is in the military department. First, Civilization 6 uses a casus belli system. And basically this means that a casus belli is a justification for you to go to war versus another civilization. If you're familiar with EU4 or even like Stellaris or Hearts of Iron, you need a reason to go to war. And this makes perfect sense to be included in Civilization 6. I'm actually excited about it. So if you do go to war for a reason using the casus belli system, you actually will not receive as much of a penalty for going to war. Unlike if you were to go to war without a justification, then you're going to get like what we saw in Civilization 5, a warmonger penalty. So that's a big change, and that'll take some getting used to, but I don't think it's going to affect too much. But it makes military a more approachable avenue for victory in terms of not having the warmonger penalty. And it's actually useful for those who don't do war that much, but have a really good reason to go to war, and they don't want to get that penalty. Sticking with the military section of this video, I also want to talk about units and how they stack. Just like in Civilization 5, in Civilization 6, units are going to take up, they're only allowed to sit in one tile at a time, so you can't, have like 5 units in one tile. However, it is confirmed that there's a limited ability to link military and support units and to combine them if they're of the same type into 2 to 3 unit groups, and this will occur in the mid to late game, which is super interesting. We haven't seen too much of the late game in terms of gameplay from the devs because they don't want to give up that technology tree and show us some of the changes. They're going to let us see that later as we approach the release. But this ability is confirmed, and I'm super interested in it. I wonder how it's going to change. But having a unit or a group of units in one tile could really make a difference in a war and in other endeavors of the game. So super exciting stuff there, and I'm very interested to see. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of information on that. Another key gameplay change that we're going to see in Civilization 6 is that trade routes will now create roads. Just like in Civilization 5 Brave New World, which was the DLC, trader units can each create and sustain a trade route between 2 cities. That's nothing new. And what they yield in terms of resources is going to be based on that connection. And the duration of the route is also going to be dependent on the distance between the 2 cities. So shorter routes end sooner. But the biggest difference is that the trader will actually create a road between those 2 cities, which is super interesting. And that means trading not only has a huge impact on your income and your resources, but it also is going to have an impact on your ability to move throughout the map, and because they create these roads. So I think it's a small change, but this is something that really affects gameplay, and that's why I wanted to add it to this list, because you are now able to create roads through these trade routes. But let me know what you think of this, if you think it's a good idea, and if you're excited about it as well. But I don't think it's going to be like this revolutionary thing, but it's definitely going to be a key difference that we're all going to have to get used to, and it makes trading even more valuable, I think. Okay, so we've pretty much covered all the major changes. Now, I didn't go over every little change that we're going to see, because you guys don't want to hear me blab that long. But before I go, I do want to note some things that we can expect moving forward with Civilization 6 that have been kind of hinted at by the developers. And before that, I do want to discuss that we are getting a different game also due to the fact that the civilizations and leaders are different. If you look at my other previous video, I talk about all the different leaders that are confirmed now and what civilizations they would be representing. Seeing different civilizations adds a variety or, a fresh feel to the game, but it wasn't anything we didn't expect. But also we have been told that Civilization 6, even though Civilization 5 was heavily modded, that Civilization 6 is even more capable of and more simple to be modded, which is awesome because the modding community for Civilization 5 was just fantastic. And I'm glad to see that Civilization 6 is still open to being modded and is going to be even easier than Civilization 5, which means that when we do get tired of the vanilla game and are in between DLCs and we want to change things up or we want to improve things, we will be capable of doing so. And I think that is something that is important to any game that is created nowadays, is to give the users the ability to make the game what they want it to be. And then also there are going to be DLC releases as the game gets older and as they release them. And this is going to change the game. Civilization 5 DLCs were fantastic. They really added more to the game, I guess. They really added just a lot. And I think in Civilization 6, we're getting pretty much the full Civilization 5 game with all the DLC. So I'm very excited to see what DLC will bring to Civilization 6. Although I'm not really excited about paying $30 for extra content. I'll never be excited about DLCs. But a lot of games have crap DLCs, and I feel like games like Civilization 5 or Civilization in general, when they do come out with DLCs, they actually add to the value of the game. But that is what I have for you guys in this episode. Let me know if this was useful by hitting the like button. And I really want your feelings on all of these changes. I would like to see what the poll of the community is and what your thoughts on it. Because we have a long time till Civilization 6 comes out. Well, about a month and a half. And things are subject to change. And, you know, who knows. But I'm curious to see what you guys think. But thank you so much for watching this video and for all your support. Like I said, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you can be updated on all my new content that's coming out in the future. But I will see you all in the next video.